So we're going to learn how to do an iPod advertisement in Photoshop. The first thing you're going to need to do is either take a photo in the back of the classroom with the green screen or find a high resolution image on the internet to use. Now, if you're using the internet to find your images, make sure that you're getting a high resolution image. So when you go to Google, so let's say person dancing, images. So remember, when you hover over, you get the file resolution. You want something in the above 600 or in the thousands. Now, actually, if you click search tools, you can choose large for file size and you get larger images. Now, I've saved this one here, so it's quite large. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to open up Photoshop once we have a picture. So it's either from the internet or you've taken it with the green screen. You're going to go File, Open, find where you've saved your picture. So we have our image open now. If you notice too, it's got a really clean, crisp white background that's going to make the editing a lot easier. Now, the next thing we need to do is select all of that white and get rid of it. So I'm going to double click on my layer to unlock it. And now, using my magic wand tool, going to grab the background. Now, there's a little bit of a shadow in the foot there, so I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard and get the selection a lot closer. Now, if you use the green screen in the back, you're probably not going to have as clean of a background. You might want to bump up your tolerance number here to maybe 50. So now that I have all of the background selected, I'm going to get rid of it. So what I want to do is I'm going to go Control-Shift-I to create my silhouette. So you can either go Control-Shift-I or select inverse. Now, do you see how it's only him selected? What I want to do in a new layer is I'm going to fill that with black, and then I can actually get rid of that original image. So we can go Layer, New Layer, or we can click the little paper icon on the bottom there. Once that's done, we're going to fill it. So I'm going to go Edit Fill or Shift F5, and we're going to fill that with black. So now I have my silhouette. I want to get rid of my selection, so Control D or deselect in the menu up there. And I actually can get rid of my background layer. If I wanted to move him, I can move him now. If I wanted to make him bigger, we can go Control T on our keyboard, holding Shift and pulling from the corner, right? Maybe with this image I would want to change it so that it's a vertical composition. So I'm actually going to go in and crop so that it's a bit tighter. Okay, so it's a better composition. We're closer. Maybe I'll put it more in the bottom there. So I have my silhouette. You need to rename your layer. So I'm going to double click that and put in the name silhouette. Okay, you're then going to be using the shape tool a lot to add in our background. So right click, I'm going to choose the rectangle tool. I'm going to fill it with the color that I want my background to be. So maybe I want it to be yellow. I'm going to draw my rectangle. Oh, that's not the yellow I want. Okay, now I want to drag that layer below. I'm going to name it background. So now I have the starting of my iPod ad. You're now going to need to add in stuff to actually make the iPod. So again, using the shape tools, we're going to draw, maybe I want to have him holding the iPod here. So I'm going to draw my rectangle. It's still yellow, so I'm going to go in and turn it to white. I don't want a stroke, so stroke means an outline. Get rid of that outline. And then if I want to rotate it, I'm going to go Control T because it looks a little unnatural right now. And rotate it so it's in his hand. Okay. Oops. And then we'll need to put a screen on it, so I can go in, create my screen, make that gray. Take the move tool, put it here. I'm going to have to rotate it too. So you can add in details, you can add in a little wheel there. What I would do is actually create a folder for my iPod. So down here there's a little folder, and I would call it iPod. So for this assignment, you do need to name all of your layers. I will be marking you on that. So once you can do a little bit more to your iPod, then the next thing is you're going to use the line tool, which is a shape tool, to create your headphones. So I'm going to click line tool. Now you want to change the weight right here. This isn't going to change the size of it. The weight right here will change it. So you're just going to draw, and looking at that's probably way too thick. So let's try 5, and it all depends on the size of your image. So we'll draw 1 to that ear, and then maybe we'll join one. We'll do a few. Now, having them straight like this isn't really working. Doesn't look very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into transform, and then we're going to warp them. So now we can actually bend them a little bit. Bend them together, perhaps. So, and that's going in edit warp. Okay. So you'll want to, and you might have to use a few different lines. So I want you to make those look more believable, put them together, potentially go in and add in some earbuds, right? Try and make it look believable. I would probably try and curve that a bit more. And then the last thing you want to do is go in and add your type. So in your text tool, find a font that is similar. So if you take a look at Apple ads, they use a sans serif font. So you want to find one in there, find an appropriate place to put it, okay? And then if you're wanting to add in your shadow, what you need to do is take your silhouette layer, you're going to right click it, duplicate, and I'm going to call this shadow. Then what you want to do is go in, edit, transform, and we're going to skew this. So essentially we're going to take it from the corners and stretch it so that it looks like a shadow. And you always want to make sure that your feet are lined up. So once you get the shadow the way you want it, right now that doesn't really work. So the next step, what you're going to do is take your opacity of that and just bump it down so some of that yellow shows through and it looks like a more believable shadow. Make sure with this one that you're saving it as a PSD and handing in your PSD as iPod.